Hi everyone, and welcome to our video tutorial for these devil horns that you can see Melba wearing here. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial. Please like, share and subscribe, and we hope to see you soon. Thanks. Bye. Yeah. Okay, so to make these devil horns you'll need some yarn. I've got this red scrap yarn here. I'm not even sure exactly what it is. It feels to me like a wool acrylic blend. It's about a 3 weight, and you want something sort of on that finer side. You can't really go chunky for this pattern. You know, 3 and under would be fine. It also depends on how big you want your horns to be, but they're kind of limited in, you know, how heavy they become. Otherwise they won't sit up. But if you've got something similar to this, that would be ideal. You'll need a crochet hook to correspond to your yarn. Now actually I'm going slightly smaller than what my yarn would usually recommend. It's a 2.5mm crochet hook, and for the horns I recommend that you go smaller. You could go, you could change your, I've just got Melba here climbing on my table, so sorry about the movement. You could go to a larger hook for the headband part, but I think I'm just going to stick with this 2.5. You'll need a darning needle or sewing needle to sew the parts together and also weave in your ends. You might want some pins to hold, no, apologise. You might want some pins to hold the horns to the headband before you sew them on, just so you can put them in place and make sure they're where you want them to be. Some scissors to snip your ends. Some stuffing to stuff the horns. I've just got some cotton wool there. And you might want to take a measurement of your cat's neck circumference. So around the head, sorry, neck. Mel was distracting me. So you might want to take a measurement around your cat's head. So where a headband would sit, just in front of the ears and down to under the chin. So here's Melba. So you can take that measurement, or if your cat's with you, you can just try it on and make sure you've got the size that you want. Okay, so to make these devil horns, you'll need to know how to make a magic ring, how to single crochet decrease, how to create a chain, how to slip stitch, and then from there it's a matter of weaving in your ends and sewing the horns to the base. Now, it's definitely beginner friendly. You'll just need to pay close attention as we move through the making of the devil horns. We work in a spiral, and it's a sequence of stitches that you'll need to follow closely for. So, yeah, just pay attention as we move along, and it's, you know, it's definitely suitable for beginners. So let's get started. Okay, so here's one of the horns that I've made previously. So we're going to start with the horns and then move on to the headband, just because we want to size our headband to the size of the horns. Now, when we make the horns, it's done in a spiral, so there's not rounds in, you know, rounds per se. You'll just have to follow me stitch by stitch, okay? And it's important not to get lost, otherwise you don't get this nice kind of horn shape. So to get started, you're going to make a magic ring. So how I do that is I just wrap it over my hands, pull up a loop, and then double back and pull up a second loop. But if you need to brush up on any of these basic techniques, then please do. I don't run through them in any great detail in these tutorials. Okay, so to get started, we're going to put 5 single crochets into our magic ring. Now you can chain 1 if you want to. I don't tend to for single crochet, so that's 2 and 3, 4 and 5. You shouldn't need that chain 1 at the beginning. So that's 5 single crochets into the ring, and then you can pull your ring close just by pulling on the tail. So we don't slip stitch to join. Like I said, we're just going to be working around in a spiral. And then in the next stitch, we're going to place, so in that first stitch there, we're going to place 2, it can be a little bit tricky to get in there, 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. And then in the next 5 stitches, 1 single crochet. So that's 1, that's 2, 3, and 4, and last one here, 5. Okay, now so you can start to turn that in. It's going to fold in on itself, but start to turn it so it's facing outwards. So the little top is facing outwards. So now we're going to move on. In the next stitch, we're going to place 2 single crochets. And for this first bit, it's a little bit fiddly, but 2 single crochets in that next stitch, 1 and 2. And then in the next 6 stitches, 1 single crochet. That's 1. So let me just pop that out a little bit, so just so the stitches are easier to see. 1 and 2. 3. 4. 5. And 6. And then in the next stitch, 2 single crochets. Okay, so at this point you should have 8 stitches. So if you need to just double check, then count your and make sure you have 8. In the next 2 stitches, 1 single crochet. 1 and 1. And then we're going to do a single crochet decrease with the next 2 stitches. So insert your hook, pull up a loop, and then move on to the next stitch, insert your hook, pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. In the next 2 stitches, 1 single crochet. And this is where I'll just finish that off. 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And here's where I actually I tend to pull my tail through just so it gets out of my way. And I'll pull it back through once I'm finished. So that way my tail is just out of my way. Okay, so we've done 1 single crochet in those 2 stitches. In the next stitch, 2 single crochets. So 2 in that same stitch. And then in the next 7 stitches, 1 single crochet. So I'm going to go ahead and finish those off camera. So 1 single crochet in the next 7 stitches. Okay, so in the next 2 stitches, 2 single crochets each. So that's 1 in the first one and 2 in the first one. And then again in the next stitch, 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. Okay, at this point you should have 10 stitches. So if you want to just double check that, then go ahead. In the next 3 stitches, 1 single crochet, 1 and 2 and 3 and then a single crochet decrease in the next 2 stitches, or using the next 2 stitches, so it's just 1 single crochet decrease. Now at this point you should have 9 stitches. In the next 3 stitches, 1 single crochet, 1 and 2 and 3, and then 2 in the next stitch, 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then 1 single crochet in the next 10 stitches. So you go ahead and do that. I'm going to do that off camera, but in the next 10 stitches, 1 single crochet. Okay, then in the next 2 stitches, 2 single crochets. So 1 in the first one, second one in the first one, and then once again 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. Okay. Now from here, 1 single crochet in the next 4 stitches. 1 and 2. 3 and 4. And then a single crochet decrease. Okay, at this point you should have 11 stitches. In the next 4 stitches, single crochet, 1, 2, 3, and 4. In the next stitch, 2 single crochets, and then 1 single crochet in the next 12 stitches. So once again, I'll do that off camera and I'll see you shortly. Okay, so after that 1 single crochet in the next 12 stitches, then in the next 2 single crochets, 2 stitches, so 2 single crochets in the next 2 stitches. And then we're going to skip 1 stitch here and then work 1 single crochet in the next 5 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then a single crochet decrease. So you should have 12 stitches now. Now moving on, 1 single crochet in the next 5 stitches, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then 1 single crochet in the next 14 stitches. So once again, I'll pause here. I'll finish off my 1 single crochet in the next 14 stitches and I'll see you soon. And then 2 single crochets in the next 2 stitches. 1, that's the first stitch, and then 1, 2 in the second. 1 single crochet in the next 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and then a single crochet decrease. And at this point you should have 14 stitches. 1 single crochet in the next 6 stitches. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. 2 single crochets in the next stitch. 1, 2, and then 1 single crochet in the next 16 stitches. So once again I'll pause here and you go ahead and do 1 single crochet in the next 16 stitches, and see you soon. And 2 single crochets in the next 2 stitches. 1, oops, and 2, and then again in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then 1 single crochet in the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, so we're nearly done here. 5, 6 and 7. So it takes a little bit of concentration to get this done, but we're nearly done now. Now after that 7, a single crochet decrease, and then 1 single crochet in the next 7. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. 1 single crochet in the 2 single crochets in the next stitch. 1 and 2, and then to finish off 1 single crochet in the next 10 stitches. So I'm going to finish off my 10 stitches off camera and I'll see you shortly. Okay, so there's my horn finished. Now you'll just yarn over and pull through. Now leave a good long tail so you can sew your horn to the headband. So leaving a nice long tail. Where are my scissors? There we go. So there's your horn. Now you'll obviously make 2 of those. And I'm just going to pull my tail back through. So I just put my hook in there and pull that through, or you could use a needle too, or you might not have even done what I've done. And yeah, make sure everything's on the inside. Now we're going to stuff these horns. Maybe I'll finish that off camera so you don't have to watch me struggling with getting this through. We're going to stuff them when I come back, and then we're going to go ahead and make the headband. So I'll see you in a moment. Okay, so take your stuffing. That's my tail end. I'm just poking in there. Poke that one in there. Now my horns always turn out just slightly different, even if I follow the same pattern, but that's kind of cool, you know. Maybe they're not exactly the same, even on little devils. So now you're going to stuff your horns. Now you don't want to stuff them too much that you might even reduce that. You don't want to stuff them too much that you change their shape, but you just want to, you know, give them a little bit of structure. So go ahead and stuff your horns. And I'll do the same. I'll finish that off camera. You also don't want to overstuff them so they so the stuffing shows through the stitching. And that's why it's better to use a smaller crochet hook for these horns at least. So you go ahead and stuff your horns. I'll do the same, and I'll see you shortly. Okay, so I've got my 2 little horns stuffed there, and now we're going to move on to making the headband. So take your yarn. We're just going to make a slip knot onto the hook. Now, you can size this headband however you want to size it, both in the size around your cat's head, but also in how wide it is. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to chain 4. So we're just going to work a simple, you know, a very simple headband, and you just want to make sure that it's wide enough so you'll be able to sew your horns on, depending on the exact size of your horn. So let's continue a little, and you'll see what I mean. So I've chained 4 there. You may need slightly more or slightly less, depending on your hook size. And then in that first stitch, or first chain, sorry. Well, actually, it's the second chain from the hook. Beg your pardon. Let's go back. So I've chained 4. In the second chain from the hook, single crochet, and then 1 single crochet in each chain. Chain 1 and turn, and then just 1 single crochet in each stitch until you reach the length, or the length of the headband that you want. So chaining 1 and turn, and then once again 1 single crochet in each stitch. So you'll just continue on, so what we're going to do is make this headband as long as you want it to be. In the past I've made them about, I don't know how wide they are, but for Melba I've made it's been about 6 centimeters. And what we're also going to do, once we've gone to the length that we want, we're also going to just put a single crochet border around the outside. So allow for that in your calculations as well. So chain 1 and turn, and just do your single crochets. Now I would go, it depends entirely on the size of your cat, but you probably, and where exactly you want the horns to sit. I sort of just place them you know, sort of just inside where Melba's ears are. So I don't need this actual headband bit to be very wide or very long at all. So yeah, I think I'll go to about 6 centimeters. So you work out how big you want that to be, and I'll meet you once you've done your length that you require. Okay, so I've done about 6 centimeters there, and then we're just going to start to put a single crochet border around this. So this will tidy it up and also allow us to add the ties. So I just work back into that stitch there on the end, and then I'm going to go ahead and place 1 single crochet at the top of each row along this long side. So you can see there I'm just placing a single crochet border. So I'm going to continue on down this long edge. So you do the same, and I'll meet you once we get around here. So we're going to add the first tie at this end. Okay, so I'm just down at this end here. I'm just going to place one right in the corner there. and then 1 in that first chain. So you can work in your tail here if you want to, or you can just weave it in at the end. Now in this second chain, and if you've got the same number of chains as me, that will make it easy. In this second chain, place your single crochet. Yeah. Oh, maybe I've gone too far actually. Sorry. So from the center of this side, you want to start chaining for your tie. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So count your number of chains and work out how long you need it to be so it will be long enough to tie around your cat's neck. Now, when I've made these in the past, I chained about 50 or 60, I think. So I'm going to do that same now, but it'll depend on your hook size, it'll depend on your cat size. So work out how many chains you need to make the length of the tie that you need. So it will tie up underneath the chin, either as a little knot or as a bow, depending on how you want to tie it. So I'm going to go ahead and do my chains. Like I said, I think I'll do about 50 or 60, somewhere around there, but I will check it and make sure that it fits Melba. Okay, so I've got my chain there. I've got 50 actually. Now, you'll have your number. Just make sure you know what that number is so you can duplicate it on the other end. Just remember that your chain will probably be slightly longer than what you end up with your tie. We're going to slip stitch all the way down, and that will just reduce the length of it slightly. So just make sure you've got a little bit extra rather than a little bit too few. So I'm just chaining 1 there as a turning chain, and then I'm just going to slip stitch all the way down the length of my chain. So go ahead, you'll finish this off. So all the way down the length of the chain, place 1 slip stitch in each of those chains. And I'll meet you once I get down to the end of my chain. Okay, I'm just placing my last slip stitch in that last chain there. And then single crochet back into that same stitch at the base of your chain. And then of course we're going to move around the other side. You can bring your tail with you, or you can just weave it in the end. 1 in the corner there, and then 1 single crochet at the top of each row on the other side. So go ahead, finish off this side, and then what you'll do is create a tie in the same way on the other side there. So go ahead and just duplicate what you've done for this tie, and I'll meet you once I've done that. Okay, my last slip stitch has just gone in that second tie, and then single crochet at the base of the tie, and then I've got 1 single crochet left there. And then I'll just yarn over and pull through. Just enough tail to weave in. So then we've got our little headband that we're going to attach our horns to. So first of all, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll weave in this tail end. So just to show you tail weaving, just thread your darning needle, and I'm just going to push it through to the other side. And just weave it into the back, moving through your stitches at the back there. And then probably a good idea just to double back. Not exactly where you've come, but just securing that tail end in there. And I'm having trouble, my hands are a bit slippery, trouble pulling that through. There we go. And then just snip off the excess, and there's your little headband. So all that's left to do now is to attach our little horns to our headband. So here's where you might want your pins. just to work out where you want them to sit. So, and how you want them to look. So, how am I going to do these ones? One that way, and one that way. I think that's going to look good, or maybe I'll bring this one in this way. Just depends how you want them to sit. So work out how you want them to sit, and I'm going to do the same. I might just pin mine on, and then all we're going to do is just use their tail ends to sew them on. And I actually think I need a little bit more stuffing in that other one. Let's just put a little bit more stuffing in there. So yeah, now is all about how you want them to look and sit. So I'm going to pin mine on, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so I've pinned mine on there where I want them to sit. And, you know, you'll work out where you want them to sit on your headband. I've got them kind of right at the edges of my headband there. And then you'll just take one of the tail ends. Thread your needle. Now I just do a simple, so I try and line my horn up with the edges of the headband. And then I'll just do a simple stitch, just coming up into up underneath the headband into the edge of the horn there. So I'm going to finish doing this sewing off camera, and you do the same. So just a simple, once I've done a couple of stitches, I can pull out that pin. So I'm just going to do, you know, I don't do heaps of stitches around, but just so they're secure on there. And just keep checking that it's sitting where you want it to sit. Just do one more here. Just bring that up underneath the rim of the horn. So I'm going to finish sewing on my horns off camera, and we'll come back and finish off together. And then, of course, once you've finished weaving in your, sewing on your horn, you will weave in your end. So I'll just do my last stitch there. And then just push your yarn to the back and weave in as you did for the headband tail end. So I'm going to finish that off, and I'll see you soon. Okay, so I've woven in my ends there, and I'm just going to snip off the excess, and then we're done. So how fun and cute are those? So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I love this one. It's just fun and cute. And please send along your photos of your cat wearing his or her devil horns. So you can send those along to catventurers.community@gmail.com, or you can tag us on social media at catventurous.crochet. So thanks very much for being here, and hope to see you soon. Bye. What a good girl. Such a good girl. Good job, Melba. Thanks very much, sweetheart. Mwah.